if you've watched or listened to this show for any period of time, you know I don't really love like the heating up of any of the rivalries, Michigan State, Ohio State. It's gotten to be kind of nauseating in a lot of ways to me. Listen, that's just, I was raised in a more of a sportsmanship type of mentality. That said, this'll still get you fired up. This'll get you ready to go. Brady Norton comes in and drops a bomb, really did, today's press conference. Let's talk about that and plenty more on this episode of Locked On Wolverines.
You are Locked On Wolverines, your daily podcast on the Michigan Wolverines, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Tuesday. We are back and doing it. Locked On Wolverines podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. I'm your man on the ground, Isaiah Hole, publisher of Wolverines Wire through USA Today Sports Media Group. And I was on the ground today. I wasn't going to. Normally I normally have a meeting with the next gen pastor, Jadyn Wiegand, at my church, Freedom Center Church here in Fenton. We've been doing this for years. We meet for a couple hours every Tuesday. So I wasn't going to go, but then that ended up getting canceled. So I went, and I'm glad because I asked this question to Brady Norton. You're about to hear it, right? Like trying to see here right now.
I think you visited or were about to visit Ohio State. When you committed, you even kind of had a little.
They called me in the hotel room of my visit here and to offer me. But in my mind, they texted me before Michigan did, really, and then just kind of ghosted me out of the blue. And all of a sudden, when Michigan offered me, they wanted me now, so I kind of found that a little odd. Then I just came here, and I was like, yeah, I told them, those guys, I don't care.
So that's why the little dig when you committed?
Yeah, no doubt.
If you want to know what the dig was, he just crossed off the O in committed when he committed to Michigan. I couldn't even remember. That's why I wasn't very specific about it. I knew that there was something. I couldn't remember exactly what it was. And naturally, this has got Ohio State fans, from what little I've seen, because I posted about it at the press conference, in uproar. They have to try to make up things or go with the lies they've heard about me or try to make it about whatever, right? Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. I do think it's a lighthearted thing, right? And some said, "Oh yeah, this really happened." No, it did happen. If you followed closely along to how it went, right? Because Michigan got him onto campus and didn't offer him until he got to campus. Then they offered him, and then later that day, Ohio State offered him. And I remember, like, I think we might have even talked about it on the podcast, or I talked about it with a colleague, like, "Oh, it's heating up. His recruitment is heating up." And later that night, he commits to Michigan, and it was such like a better, lack of a better anything to say, a middle finger to Ohio State. Listen, I'm not saying this to be holier than thou. This is not a holier than thou, because I used to be a sailor when it came to this. I don't swear at all, and I don't really advocate people swearing, and that's my own personal preference. People swear around me all the time. I still found it funny. Now, did I love the idea that he's looking right at me and he's got a tattoo of Calvary on his arm and he's using the F word to describe Ohio State? No, but it's still funny. But again, I'm not saying any of this to be holier than thou. I really am not, because I do plenty of things that I need forgiveness for. Hence the shirt, if you're watching, forgiven. But it is hilarious, because like that is the type of thing that will get you kind of fired up. If you're a player, is understanding like those types of things. I was just talking to a colleague the other day about J.J. McCarthy before the Indiana game, which it was his first 300-yard game. Didn't have a very good first half, but then ended up really kicking it off in the second. But he had said to us before the game, because like there was a whole thing, like he went up into the stands to meditate before any of the fans had been let in and whatever. So right now, at that point, like Indiana hadn't even shown up. It was Michigan, the event staff, and a handful of us who were reporters who were out there, and this event staffer wasn't going to let him down from the field, even though he's wearing his number 9, thing and whatever. He's like, for whatever reason, he thinks he's a fan just trying to get access to the field. And the colleague pointed it out to me, and we went over there and we were like, "That's Michigan's starting quarterback. Please let him out on the field." And JJ had said at that moment, like, he was fired up to be playing in that game because Indiana wanted him to camp to get an offer. Like, or he was at a camp and they didn't offer him. It was something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was one of those two scenarios. So those are the types of things that fire you up, right? Like, Ohio State didn't pay attention to me until Michigan made it serious, right? Like Michigan does the same thing on the other end. It does the same thing with Ohio State recruits, of Michigan State recruits, and things of that nature. It's part of the game, but that's still like, and that's one of the reasons why I think Michigan State was so fired up for so long, because they had enough talent that were legitimately talented that wanted to come to Michigan, but Michigan was like, yeah, whatever. You're in state, whatever. We'll take you when we want you, and when we want you, you'll come type of mentality. And they'd be like, no, this Mark D'Antonio guy, he seems plenty grumpy. I'd love to be wake up and deal with him every day. I laugh. Well, I'm not laughing at my own joke. I'm laughing at the sake of, I know that will upset Michigan State fans. It's just, that's the type of rivalry banter that I want, though. Not this defense pedos, Matt Weiss, like appealing to the lowest common denominator ridiculousness. Like that's what rivalries should be. This might be like a step beyond what I would say, but like I think it's one of those things where it's like this is the type of thing, like with the story that he shares, the Brady Norton story, as well as like his, he's laughing, right? This isn't like he's like dead serious and just mad, because he goes on later to say like, so I asked him, I said, do you have that game circled on the calendar? And he's like, yeah, but I don't hate them the way like other guys that are in this building do, right? Like I'm not initiated into the rivalry. Well, he's going to be now, right? Because now he's going to get all the hate. But it's just one of those things where I wish that people would see that and be like, it's gotten too serious. I'm using this as a platform to say that these rivalries and everything has gotten way too serious. This is a game, people. This is a game. Should be fun. That was fun, right? Ill-advised in some ways, but in other ways, like that's fine, right? Like that shouldn't rankle anyone's feathers in a real way, but it just perusing social media, it really has. Now, granted, Ohio State player says the same thing about Michigan. Michigan fans would be doing the same thing, but it really shouldn't be taken in some kind of sense of like anything resembling just reality, I guess, is the best way I can put it. But I think it's fun to have these like rivalry moments, as long as everyone takes it in a lighthearted sense and doesn't become, life and death, right? Like I've talked on this show a lot about people treating their favorite sports team, and especially rivalries, as idols. The idolatry of it is what makes people so ruthless. I don't come against all Ohio State fans, but the ones that want to make things more than what they are, that's a problem. Settle down. More to life than this. But I understand we're doing a show called Locked On Wolverines. And ultimately, we're going to talk about football. But think about that, the fact that there's more to life than that. So take it lightheartedly, because I think it's fun. I think it's funny, in the words of Eddie Izzard, Dressed to Kill. Really, the really niche references on this show. We're going back to like 1999 HBO. All right. Anyway, we're going to continue on, because there was some talk more about the quarterbacks from both an offensive lineman as well as a defensive back. I think that's exciting. We're going to talk about that here in just a moment. But before we do, there's nothing like the atmosphere of an NBA playoff game. And guess what? The Detroit Pistons, your Detroit basketball Pistons, are in the NBA playoffs. Every bucket, every defensive stop, every moment feels huge. It's electric in the arena. And with Game Time, you can be a part of it without the stress of last-minute ticket hunting. Game Time makes it fast and easy to get playoff tickets, even when demand is sky high. Prices on the app actually go down as tip-off gets closer. And their last-minute deals can save you up to 60%. I'm probably going to have to use that and go to a Pistons game. Here's why I use Game Time. With their last-minute deals, you can save up to 60%, not to up the ante here, of buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. And the all-in pricing means no surprise fees at checkout. What you see is what you pay. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, you gotta love, like, of course, we're not gonna have a press conference go. I think one went by yesterday because I wasn't there. No one asked about Bryce Underwood. Maybe that says a lot about what the Michigan media is without me. It's unfair, right? We need to talk about Bryce Underwood every press conference that we can. Because this is what you all want, right? There's a reason why our good friend JD Piquel over at On3 hasn't been on the show yet, but he is a friend of the show. He talks about Bryce Underwood almost every day. You click on On3's channel and you see, something about Bryce. Now we've kind of learned that you're not going to necessarily get Bryce Underwood without Jadyn Davis in these press conferences. It's like Heartbreaker, Live and Love and Made. You can't have one without the other. And I'm trying to think. There's other song tandems like that, but that's the only one I can ever think of. Led Zeppelin too, for those who are uninitiated. But I thought it was interesting to hear some of the things that we got to hear about Bryce. So I asked TJ Metcalf, who we got to meet for the very first time, about the quarterbacks and like just kind of more of a set idea of, hey, you have faced some SEC quarterbacks, right? Like he got 2 of his 3 interceptions last year against Peyton Thorne, Auburn. I think it was against Peyton Thorne. I probably should have noted that, but he had a pass broken up against Quinn Ewers. He did well against Jackson Dart. Like he's seen some good quarterbacks in his time at Arkansas. So I asked him, I said, what is it about the quarterbacks that Michigan has? How do they compare? And he says, I think for those guys to be so young, I think they mature really well. They've been making a lot of good balls. I know we're always talking about it. It's like every catch that a receiver makes, they're putting the ball in the right spot so only the receiver can catch the ball. And I think that's what's going to be going to be good for us. Both Bryce and Jadyn, they've been doing extremely well. I like what I see out of them. And I had asked, like, does it get frustrating at all because it's like, this perfect placement? And he's kind of like, nah, because I kind of know, right? Like it kind of teaches us like how to play through that type of stuff better. And, understand that like, that's just going to happen, right? Like when you're facing a really good quarterback, and plus it's a good scenario for us to have a quarterback that can throw like that. So that's cool. And then Nathan Efobi, right guard, getting his first chance. He was asked about passing. Are you guys actually passing more? And he says, for sure, we're slinging the rock. But yeah, we've had a lot more pass plays. It's throwing downfield. I'm enjoying it. I love it. Now, here's the thing, like I've mentioned. That's all play calling, but I mean, the onus put on the passing game shows you how seriously they're taking it. Now, does that mean that we're going to see a 70-30? I want to calm you. I've gotten some messages. I got more than one message from people between messages and comments between yesterday's show or Friday's show, talking about how there's some like a little bit of angst about, is this going to end up being like Brady Hoke Borges? Is this going to end up being like Rich Rod, in year one type of thing? No, it's not. Like, rest assured, like even if they're going like 70% passing, like the running backs know what to do, right? Like it's going to be about play calling when it comes to that, right? Like just because they're passing more doesn't mean that it's going to become like this pass first offense. I mean, it could be, but they'll still smash, right? They'll still like the identity of Michigan is not going to change. It's going to be about the trenches. The thing is, though, is if you are not able to run the ball, you look at like last year, Michigan really struggled to run the ball effectively, consistently. If they had any sort of pass game, then that would have helped. So that's where things are going to be interesting. But you are seeing that. Now, here's the other thing. Efobi was asked more. Let's see, where is it here? Like, what have you seen, what have you seen from them? And he says, dogs. Y'all have seen the clips online. They can sling the rock. I'm just happy to see them improve every day. They can show plenty of clips. They're throwing it down the field, doing fadeaways in practice. It's dots. It's crazy because they put out on Saturday these 4 videos, which we talked about yesterday. And I mean, these were these deep throws and all these things. And this is one of the things where I asked him, I said, okay, so this isn't selective editing, right? Because that certainly you can take 4 throws from 2 quarterbacks and say, look, there it is. And he's like, no, it's not selective editing. It's just happening constantly. So that's good news. It's a good news day, son. We're just full of references. 1999 references. That's American Pie for you. Eddie Izzard, Dressed to Kill, stand-up comedy, American Pie. What's next? I mean, I already did a 1970. 1970. Actually, technically, late 1969 is when Led Zeppelin 2 was recorded. That's where we're at. We're not in the modern day, and yet we are, because we're talking about passing game in Michigan. Honestly, though, that would be more 90s Michigan. Like that existed. Nonetheless, I think that these are encouraging signs just to hear that, like, again, that we're hearing the same thing. TJ Metcalf isn't like, unless that's a situation where, sports information directors are sitting him down and say, okay, here's what you're going to do. You're going to talk about both quarterbacks fast, and you're going to say they're mature and that they've got pinpoint accuracy. I don't think that's happening. I mean, could it? Maybe. Yeah, I doubt it. And the fact that like we're getting like this, the consistent narrative through people, right? You even have Samaj Morgan towing the line. And again, Samaj Morgan is a truth teller. He is there to break apart your hegemony. He is there to tell you how it is and what is what. And he's even saying the same stuff. Maturity, pinpoint accuracy, hard to defend these things. I would not freak out. Like, Michigan needs to break into the 21st century at some point, and when you get a Bryce Underwood, then you're going to do that, right? Like for those who are kind of freaking out about the change of identity, the identity is going to change when you get the number one quarterback in the country, the number one overall recruit. You want it to. That's the thing. You absolutely need it to. Let's stay on this line of thinking. I was going to go over to the defense, but I think let's stay on this line of thinking. Why do we need to see it change? What is important about it? Let's talk about that here in just a moment. But before we do, ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment? It's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is not just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place, so you can stop just managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery. Now I spend just a little less on food delivery, and I'm budget smarter and save even more. And instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. All right, listen, those reluctant to change, I'm here to settle you down a little bit. Michigan's still going to be running the football, and it's going to, but you want it to look a little bit more 50-50, right? You want it to be like, because keeping in mind, and here I am, Michigan football last year, total offense, let's go game log to get a better idea of what they did. And I apologize, I saw that, I don't remember your name, I saw your comment that you would love for me to put stats on the window, on the screen. Like, that would add I'm not joking. I'm not exaggerating. It would take 4 hours extra to make each show. It's just not going to happen. No offense. I would love to do that, but I don't, as much as processing power as my computer has, it's like the time of building the stat graphic and then implementing it, and then the extra rendering for the video and the file sizes. It would add between 2 and 4 hours a show. We're not doing it. So you're just going to have to follow along as best you can. And my apologies. I would love to do that. I have a film degree and I am good at motion graphics, but we want to get shows out more than we want them to look good. We're going to make them look good, but we want shows to come out. So let's look at what Michigan did throughout the year. Number one, Michigan ran for just over 300 yards or 400 yards, almost 400 yards more than they passed. Still not great, because they didn't run for as much. They ran for 2,043 yards last year compared to 2,536 the year before, compared to 3,345 the year before, right? They were a little more balanced. 2022, 3,078 passing yards, 3,345 rushing yards. Great, right? Like that's the goal. 2021, I'm just going back here. Similar balance, actually passed for more than they ran. 3,001 rushing yards, 3,202 passing yards. Who would have thought? Cade McNamara mostly. But last year, 2,043 rushing yards, 1,678 passing yards. Only 2 games eclipsed the 200-yard mark, which is shocking, right? Like you had the Texas game trying to come from behind, and you had the Illinois game trying to come from behind and trying to sling it. Otherwise, you had multiple games. Obviously, Alex Orji didn't pass for a lot. You had USC almost 300 yards rushing, 32 yards passing. You had the week before Arkansas State, 301 yards rushing, 134 yards passing. Northwestern was the most balanced, 201 yards passing, 201 yards rushing, 195 passing. But even Alabama, like 190 total yards of offense, right? It's pretty rare that you see Michigan offenses pass for that little. I think of 200 yards as the typical benchmark of what you want from, like, now when I say benchmark, 250 is really the benchmark you want to hit. in a given game. I'm looking at 2018 first year Shea Patterson. I mean, most of these games are 200 plus yards as far as passing. And if they weren't 200 yards passing, then you saw a lot more rushing, right? Like 143 passing yards against Western Michigan, not great. 308 rushing yards, pretty great. They won 49-3 that game, by the way. You look at some of these other games, you know, they lost to Ohio State, 240 yards passing, 161 yards rushing. Well, therein lies some of the problem, right? So you need to modernize a little bit. You just do. And just to take a look at total offenses this past year, Miami, which wasn't a great team, to be honest, but like they were averaging 537 yards a game. They passed for 4,527 yards and rushed for 2,456. Ole Miss, pretty close to the same. North Texas, pretty close to the same. New Mexico, more balanced. Not a good team, though. Let's look at some actual top teams to kind of just... So Texas, 44-60, 25-40. Okay? They had more, like, similar yards, had more games. Oregon, 39-13 passing, 22-11 rushing. Like, that's what modern college football is. Now, you want it to be more balanced, like I said. You don't want it to be this completely lopsided thing. And that's what we've seen with Chip Lindsey, is that's his goal, is to be a more balanced passing offense. Or not passing offense, just offense. 48th in the country last year, 29-17, 23-70. Really a one-man show when it came to the running the football, Amari and Hampton, but still. And when you look at the passing rushing ratios here, I mean, they had plenty of games where you look at it and say, like, okay, they had 230 yards rushing in a win over Wake Forest, only passed for 132 yards. Rushed against, NC Central, but 330 rushing yards to 183 passing yards, just to kind of give you some ideas here. The year before Drake May, it was closer to 4,000 yards passing and 2,500 yards rushing. I think that's probably like not the sweet spot, right? Like you think more of UCF when he was there. I think that's probably more what you want, right? Is to be able to have that UCF offense where it is definitely very, very balanced. So with that in mind, we go to what year was he at UCF? I can't remember exactly. The 2022? No. Mikey Keene was a freshman. 2019? I don't remember the year he was there, but it was a very, very good year, right? Like it was very balanced. It was very, I think this was the year, 3,347 yards passing, 3,448 yards rushing. That's what, if you're Michigan, that's what you want. But you've got to be able to run the ball. And sometimes to run the ball, especially if you're Michigan and everyone knows you're going to run the ball, like that works sometimes. But we talked about 2023. 2022, everybody wanted to okay, let's keep the guys back. And then Blake Corum's just zipping through everything. But then the next year, Blake Corum's injured or coming off of an injury. And it's like, okay, well, we're going to stop the run at all costs and make JJ McCarthy beat us. And JJ says, okay, I'll go 15-0 then. So you need the ability to do both. And I think that what Bryce Underwood brings is that, because you don't want to go get the number one quarterback in the country and basically use the rivalry narratives against you of he's just a handoff merchant. He's just going to hand the ball off. You want to be able to throw downfield. And you're not necessarily seeing it right away, but what that's going to do is that's going to get you better receivers. Now, that might change the offensive line a little bit because now you're starting to look at different types of linemen in terms of guys that want to come, because there's certain guys that are going to want to come to Michigan because they're going to be like, I just want to hit people. And the fact that we run the ball all the time, or Michigan runs the ball all the time, means that I'm just going to be able to hit people. So yeah, it's kind of a give or take. And that's why you want the balance of like, we're going to run for 3,000 yards, but we're also going to pass for over 3,000 yards. So you're getting enough where like the receivers are going to get theirs, the quarterbacks are going to get theirs, and everything. Otherwise, you end up in a scenario like you did last year where you have no quarterback and no receivers and capable running backs, but everyone knows you're going to run the ball, so good luck. There's a problem in the last half of some of those games. Latter half of Minnesota and USC. They knew Michigan's not going to try to pass the ball, so let's just load up on the run. To be able to be more dynamic, you need more dynamic playmakers, and Bryce Underwood is a generational talent. So you should feel rest assured that the identity is going to change a little bit, but Sharon Moore's still an offensive lineman. He's still an offensive lineman at heart. Smash is his motto. It's still going to be smash, but you want to add in the ability to have that deep passing threat and have that available. You don't want to just remember how upset a lot of you were coming off of the 2021 game against Washington where Michigan just ran. Y'all came to love it because it became the calling card. But you need to be able to be more dynamic than that, especially coming off of years like last year. Like you're just not tenable to be that all the time. And the way you do that is to be able to do both. That's what Jim Harbaugh always say. We can go by land and we can go by air. So that's what the goal is. All right, that's going to do it for us today. We'll be back tomorrow with Jake Butt. He's going to be joining the show, making a triumphant return in anticipation of him calling the spring game, which those of you in person will get to see on Saturday. Those of you not in person will not. Okay, my audio cut out here because I switched. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for listening. We will talk to you again soon. Peace.